So now that we've seen the real grade 2.0, what if I told you there's a real grade 1.5? Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm taking a look at the Real Grade Freedom Gundam Ver GCP, aka the Real Grade Freedom Gundam 1.5. Now this right here is a rare Gundam kit depending on where you're from. This is an exclusive to the Chinese Gundam base, the one with the life-size Freedom statue. And I knew this kit did come out, but I thought it was just a bit of a parts and color variant to the standard Freedom Gundam Real Grade, but that is not the case. This is an upgrade that is more than skin deep. Anyway, if you're looking for some rare Gunpla, you can get yours where I got mine. That is through Buyee, link in the description. Now let's get this thing reviewed. So when it comes to the build of the Real Grade Freedom Gundam Ver GCP, I expected this to be pretty much the exact same thing down to its core, and on opening the box, that is the way it kind of felt. Inside the box, we do have that old school Real Grade frame in here. So I thought this is going to be the exact same build that we saw before, even though I did know there was some changes to the internal structure. First off, I will say sadly, the vast majority of this runner does get used, so a lot of the pre-molded Real Grade parts are inside of this. But if you take a look at the runners that are in here, what's on the left is what is used from the original Real Grade Freedom, which isn't a lot. What's on the right is brand new for this kit. So this kit right here is pretty much 80 to 85% brand new parts. A ton of the inside, a lot of the armor, the wings completely are all new, and it feels like a different beast when built. I started from the legs up, and it starts off with a bang. The feet are brand new, so they're full inner frame, master grade style built, no Real Grade nonsense inside of them. The armor is nicely layered, and it has a lot more blue separation than I ever remember from before, with a new light blue runner as well as new dark blue runners. When you do get up to the legs, you do have to grab that frame off the inner frame, which definitely does sadden me a little bit. A lot of this kit is brand new. The arms and the legs and the waist are not, so it's just a missed opportunity to go that little bit further and make this a brand new beast. The armor that does snap on top of this is all new. So it does mean you've got a lot more part separation than ever before on the Freedom. The armor is mixed up in a nice light grey and white to give you the two tone white that we did not really see in the original version. Once again, sadly, when it comes to the waist unit, this is the old waist, which is a little bit on the weak side. All the armor, once again, is brand new, great color separation on top of this. And at first I was mildly shocked because in the manual it does say to use the torso frame of this kit, but you actually use it for a really strange thing. You only use the arm joint of this to realign the hips on it like a kind of key, and then you just throw away the torso, which is kind of funny. Is essentially just a tool. But when it does come to the actual torso, this is all new frame. It builds up perfectly, it feels rock solid, all the parts build onto it very, very nicely. It is completely new and makes me feel that it would just been so nice if the arms and the legs were done this way too. Of course, this is not Gundam 2.0 level, but it's still extremely, extremely nice and most importantly, solid. When it comes to the arms, you're back to using those old frames again. Again, the arms aren't the most critical aspect on a kit, really. None of the weapons in here are that big, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's only the legs that I wish got a little bit more of an upgrade. Again, the armor on these builds up, it's brand new, lots of color separation, and it does look impressive. We do have some new hands inside of this box as well, which match the hands on the Freedom that's in China. Next up is the head, and this is all brand new, 100% brand new, and it's such a very detailed head compared to the one we would have seen with the original Real Grade Freedom. We've got fully color separated eyes, which is very nice. I will mention there are no foil stickers to use over these as an option, so it's just the plain plastic yellow eyes. Still look sharp. And building this head is a little bit on the difficult side, surprisingly. There's a little bit of a weird bit where you stack in the face, the mask for over the eyes, and then the muzzle section of the mouth. It kind of gets a little bit difficult, but otherwise it fits together and looks perfect in the end. Clear parts as well, in blue. The side skirtings in here, they use the same frame parts we would have seen with the original Freedom Gundam. These are not those kind of rubbery Real Grade parts. These are just regular, standard runner, standard plastic structure to build the parts onto. They all work out great, and these feel very, very nice. Sometimes the railguns can be a little bit on the sketchy side in some Freedom kits, but not in here. Lastly then are the wings, and this is what shocked me the most about this kit. I knew the robot itself would get a bit of a renewal, but the wings have been completely 100% renewed. They don't look the same, they don't feel the same, they're rock solid, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Again, it builds up with a lot of interesting aspects, including some landing gears that fold out at the ends of the wings to make sure that this kit can stand up in a standing pose and not be back heavy. Pretty much like the statue once again in China. But yeah, this kit right here, 85% of the build is brand new for this kit and feels completely unique. Now, I remember the Real Grade Freedom being a very fragile kit, and speaking of which, I better go get it right now for this review, but this, even though it does have some loose-ish aspects in the legs and the arms, is still, well, it's been upgraded, but half upgraded, more than half upgraded. It's a 1.5. So jumping now into the aesthetics, and Real Grade kits have always looked phenomenal. Ever since the line's inception, they've looked like the best of small-scale Gundam kits. But this has taken what the older Freedom Real Grade did and really dialed it up to 11. So just to put it into context a little bit, the original Real Grade Freedom kit came out in 2011. The upgraded version, this one right here, came out in 2021. So there is 10 years and a little bit of a technological jump from the older parts that are inside of this kit to the newer ones. But if we do just bring it straight down to the aesthetical aspects of it, it looks absolutely incredible. So jumping into that full 360-degree spin, so you can see absolutely everything about this. And I have to say, the landing gears are the greatest addition ever. They take what would have been a very kind of back-heavy Gundam and, well, makes it that it can stand on its own, even when spinning around like this. At times they do look a little bit funny. You might want to maybe color in some aspects to make them look a little bit more mechanical and not so plasticky, but overall this thing just looks incredibly great. The angles look astounding. The two-tone white looks phenomenal. We do have some layering of parts, which isn't necessarily something you would have seen on older Real Grades. You can definitely see it up on the shoulders where the little bits of grey pop out through the lighter white color. I will also mention at this point I did pen line some of the details around the place just to make it pop, and the muzzle in this kit, just like with newer Real Grade kits, has to be pen lined. It doesn't actually have a gap in it. Some of the older kits, that gap would break, so I can see why they removed that from this situation. Yeah, this kit is covered in greebles, has all the right angles, the color separation is phenomenal, and overall it is amazing what Bandai have done with this kit. Funny, they went that one little step further. When it comes to Real Grade kits, they've always been meant to be what a Gundam looks like in reality, so they've always been pumped full of a lot more detail than, say, the anime variant. That goes double for this because this has been given multiple shades of color we would have not seen before. Same goes with the weapons on the side there, those railguns, they've been given a whole ton of extra detail, especially like this little dark section round back. They're also not that kind of powder blue, again to reflect that 1:1 statue that is in China. Again, very, very nice. We do have some stickers in here. These are the usual sticker style decals. They're not the greatest, and when you pop them onto any darker parts, you can really see the edges on them, and they don't really last the test of time per se. However, this kit has been around for a while, so you can probably find the water slide decals we're using on it, or use the ones that came with the standard Real Grade Freedom. So at this point right here, I would do a comparison between this and the classic Real Grade Freedom Gundam, but that's a kit I built a long time ago, so I did put it into storage before I had a little bit of a sorting system going, so it's probably in some kind of box that says sort me on the side of it, and there's quite a few of those, so I can't find it. Anyway, we'll throw a couple images up right now so you can check out what it is like compared. These are from the Schizophonic 9 blog, and I'll throw a link down there in the description if you want to take a look yourself. There's a lot of differences between the two. Too bad I can't show them today. Anyway, on to the regular old size comparison. There it is side by side with the RX 78-2. The one on the left is the High Grade Revive. The one on the right is the Real Grade 2.0. Beside two more main Gundams, that's the High Grade Gundam Barbatos and the High Grade Gundam Ariel. And beside two Real Grades being the Real Grade High New Gundam and the Real Grade Epion. So now jumping into the accessories, and there's absolutely everything the Real Grade Freedom Gundam version GCP comes with, which is the usual loadout of swords, board and beam rifle, and we've got a little base adapter section which attaches into the back, and a grand total of 8 hands, 2 of which are attached onto the Gundam right now, and I didn't remove them for one particular reason. Now the reason I didn't remove the hands for that particular accessories part is because of this. I've always disliked this about this particular kit, or at least the older Freedom. So when you actually take off the hands, this section of the wrist comes with it. Now this is a major loss risk. It's barely held on there at all. You basically just kind of hold it in position when you're jamming on the hands, and then it kind of just hangs out loose on the wrist. But yeah, as for the hands that do come inside the box, first up we've got these ones right here, which are a nice, very dynamic widespread style. These are the ones that are on the actual statue in China, so these are brand new for this kit. We've got a pair of these. Next up we've got one left hand, which is also a dynamic one. This one almost looks like a kind of grabbing or gripping style hand. We've got a pair of these somewhat awkwardly posed real grade style fists, or at least what the old real grades look like. A pair of the semi-posable real grade hands. So these are semi-posable and extremely delicate and fragile. Lastly then we have one unique right hand. This is for holding onto the beam rifle, so this can't hold it ambidextrously, it's only right hand only. And I do recommend turning these arms upwards while changing the hands because of course that little piece can fall out. And that right there is what the trigger finger holding hand looks like. So now jumping into the weapons, and first off in here we've got a pair of beam sabers, regular old beams, and even though the handles have been given an update as far as I know, they're pretty much the same as before. So when it comes to attaching on the beam sabers, definite minus points to this kit for the fact that you do have to use those classic real grade hands. These do not hold up over time, they're very delicate. You have to kind of wrap the fingers around it after attaching it via a peg, and these fingers break down very quickly. They also, well, don't look that great when holding onto something. Anyway, that's what it looks like holding onto the beam saber. You can, as usual, attach them end to end like so for that double beam saber, but because this is one of those older style real grades, this handle does have a peg sticking out. So you can see, even when it is posed holding onto this particular weapon, you do have that little tab right there. However, there is some good news when it comes to storing these. You just pop them out of the hands as usual, get rid of the beams, detach them like so, and we have some nice, newly designed side skirts right here for attaching them into. So they slot down from the top, then pull forward and lock into position. That is what's holding them in. They're not going to fall out, and this works absolutely perfectly. So next up in here is the rifle. Now the interior structure of this is exactly the same as the beam rifle we would have seen with the original kit. The outside armor is new for this, it's nice. We do have some color separation on it, which is rare for a 1/44th scale Freedom kit, and the lens in the side is in a nice clear blue. The rifle comes with a specific holding hand that's pre-posed for using with it, which is great. It just opens up like so, clamps onto the handle like this, holds on perfectly and attaches on just like so. So no issues whatsoever with the holding of the rifle, and that right there is what it looks like in a little bit of a pose. When the rifle in here is not in use, just pop it off just like so. We've got a little bit of a tab sticking out the side right here, which isn't the greatest looking really, and that just pops around back into this slot right here. Holds on reasonable, not great. Next up in here is the shield, and this is pretty much brand new for this kit, besides the attachment points around back. This little segment right here, as well as the handle, those are from the previous kit, but everything else, actually, besides the red bits are from the previous kit too, but everything else is brand new. Attaching the shield on is the usual kind of way. We've got a peg which attaches into a hole in the elbow, just like so. You can pop the handle then into a hand, or just use one of the open hands, and this attaches on quite well. It does clash with the shoulder a little bit because it is a large shield and those are some large shoulders, but overall it functions pretty good. Also in here we do have a little bit of a backpack adapter for attaching this onto a stand. The stand I'm using today is the simple stand by Good Smile Company. It attaches on super easy, and then you just kind of cradle this onto the backpack just like so, and it does connect in either side too, so it is a secure connection, but not too secure. It can fall off sometimes while posing, so I find the best thing to do is pose up your kit first, then lock it into the cradle. Otherwise it'll end up popping off on you and falling out. Otherwise though, performs quite well. So now onto the articulation, and first I'm going to mention the build quality because this is a bit of a hybrid right here. So the legs, especially the hips, are absolute garbage. That kind of just works its way out over time. I didn't even intend for that to happen, that just kind of happens. It always did with the older real grade kits. The waist unit and the legs are pretty awful. The arms themselves aren't too bad, especially because the shoulders have been reinforced with a brand new joint. The torso's great, the backpack is fantastic, and these side skirts are really good too. So it really is just the legs and the arms that let this kit down ever so slightly. But we do have these nice little landing gears here which help it stay upright, which is always very, very nice. But anyway, as usual, onto the usual pose. So when it comes to the articulation on the real grade Freedom Gundam Ver GCP, it's good overall, not fantastic, but definitely not bad. The legs are very limited, especially at the hips. The big side skirtings do limit where the legs can go, and even though it does have a nice knee bend and alright-ish ankles, it can't get low down into the pose because of that. The ab crunch is very, very basic. There's not much. Even though it is a new torso, it prioritizes the looks over the articulation. The shoulders aren't too bad. The arms are pretty good. Feeling a little bit weak, but it doesn't really matter. They are arms. And overall, it does pose decently. But in general, the raising up of the legs, flaring out of the legs, limit this from getting into fully over-the-top dynamic poses. So in here, one of the newest things is this brand new backpack, and this is ridiculously impressive compared to what we would have seen before. For example, we've got just this one singular wing instead of the two we would have seen before when it's all closed up. This can all move up and down together still as one piece, but we do have multiple aspects in here. First off, we've got two of these elements right here, which do feature two wings attached together like so. There is the other one on the inside, so we've got that smaller little wing in there too. So between the two of those, we've got 4 wings in total. And then this one up here does have a central wing as well, so you've got another one of those. And we do have that giant cannon, which can, when pointing to the front like so, come out and over the shoulder just like so on both sides. So just pop in that one up as well, and these will just aim on over the shoulders just like so. These are incredibly dynamic, and at the same time these hold together very nicely too, which was a massive issue we had with the other Real Grade Freedoms backpack. The attachment point is in the nice double pin we get in high grades and on the Real Grade 2.0. And when these are attached on, they are ridiculously dynamic, cool, easy to pose, easy to fold in, and they are rock solid, which is very, extremely nice. Again, the new torso on here doesn't rock a whole lot of articulation. It's not too bad. There it is all the way to the front. There it is all the way out to the back. So 1 to 2 like that. But the good thing you actually have with this is that it is good and solid. So even when the wings are flared all the way out to the back and you have this posed up, it will somewhat, not fully hold on to it. That little bit of a droop you're seeing there is happening more in the old waist unit that is recycled over. But this does hold a pose much nicer than what we would have seen before. Again, it is a disappointment that Bandai did recycle so much, especially down at the legs, which aren't great, because if the legs and the arms were actually done to the same standard as the rest of this kit, this would be pretty much an unmissable version of the Real Grade Freedom. But anyway, that right there is it for the review. This is it's a unique one, definitely without a doubt. A lot, if not most of the issues we would have had with the Real Grade Freedom have been kicked from this kit. And by modern standards, this to me is a gold tier kit. So this is extremely good, but not fantastic. When it comes to the aesthetics here, this is where it wins out. This would be platinum tier when it does come to the aesthetics. It looks fantastic. The color separation is amazing. We've got brand new armor design on this compared to what we would have seen before. And the head is brand new and ridiculously dynamic looking all of the time. The stickers in here are meh, which is usually the case with some real grades, but those are just an option. When it comes to the accessories in here, these are average enough. They're okay, they do what they need to do and no more. They do look nice. They're a little bit old school in some regards, and the vast majority of the shield has been redone so it does match with the aesthetic of the kit. The beam saber attachment to the hips though, that is fantastic and I love it. Finally then, when it does come to the articulation and the build quality on this is so much better than the original Freedom. It is very solid in the new parts. The legs and the arms on this do feel like they're going to loosen up over time as usual. They are a little weak out of box, but we do have a nice base adapter to keep in the air and some good landing gears to keep it on the ground. So yeah, overall it is a very good kit. It's definitely the better option compared to the standard Real Grade Freedom. It's not perfect and amazing, but it is beautiful and a vast improvement over what we would have seen before. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, I got mine through Buy, link in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. As always, I can't finish this video without special thanks to those who support the channel on the memberships as well as over on Patreon, including Abraxas, Caleb Engelhardt, Joe, Orgy59061, Shadow Wolf 179, 10 Soldier YT, and Van Fawn.